Naivas supermarket within Nyeri town was also broken into and goods worth millions of shillings carted away. 21 suspects have been arrested in connection with this criminal activity. On the same day, a group of rioters invaded Mountain Mall within Kasarani area in Nairobi County, where they looted goods from Naivas supermarket and other shops within the mall. 3 suspects were arrested and arraigned accordingly. At Kidurai 44 area, another set of criminals invaded Kasmat supermarket. In Eldoret, goons broke into Ketia supermarket and stole goods worth millions of shillings, and 12 suspects were arrested and arraigned. In Meru, a group of thugs set ablaze Muguna's supermarket using suspected petrol bomb. Years of investment went up in flames. The criminal elements stole alcoholic drinks also from the 7-Eleven bar. Selenite supermarket was not spared in the looting and the mayhem. 40 suspects have been arrested in Meru in relation to these criminal acts. In Kirinyaga County, 21 suspects linked to the looting of Nice City supermarket in Mwea town were arraigned. Gangs also torched the Kirinyaga Central NGCDF offices, leading to the arrest and arraignment of 4 suspects. In Kagumo town, mobs broke into county supermarket and stole goods worth millions of shillings. 2 suspects have been arrested and arraigned in connection with the incident, and others are still being pursued. In other reprehensible incident, marauding gangs stopped operating theater at the Kitengela Sub-County Hospital, interrupting an emergency cesarean section and terrorizing patients and medical staff. 2 suspects have been arrested and arraigned in court for this heinous crime. The 2 were granted bail of 50,000 shillings, surely 50,000 shillings only, after invading an hospital and interrupting a cesarean operation. Only 50,000 shillings were granted as cash bail. These lenient bail terms are unacceptable. It is in hospitals that we seek refuge at our most vulnerable moments, and to infringe on this privacy is an offense most foul. Arising out of these unprecedented attacks, close to 1,500 people have been arrested countrywide and are facing various charges, including terrorism, murder, robbery with violence, sexual assault, arson, malicious damage to property, and targeted attacks on strategic national infrastructure. Those who incited, organized, funded, or executed these attacks will face the full force of the law. The financiers and political sponsors of this mayhem are being investigated and will soon answer for their crimes. Similarly, any police officer accused of unlawful use of force will face the law. As I speak, 1 police officer has already been arraigned and is facing murder charges. Further, any excesses by law enforcement officers will be investigated and appropriate action taken on those found to be culpable. Cognizant of the raging debate and national concerns on the use of force by security personnel, I will this Friday, pursuant to Article 245(4) of the Constitution, be issuing a policy directive to the Inspector General of Police on the use of force and firearm by law enforcement officers. What was witnessed on 25th of June and 7th July was stark testament to the extent to which the sponsors of this anarchy are ready to go to subvert the Constitution. This was not protest. It was pure premeditated criminality, deliberate, dangerous, and deeply disturbing. The right to assemble, demonstrate, picket, march unarmed, and present petitions to authorities is guaranteed by our Constitution, and that cannot ever be taken away. On the security officers, Seth Olale's question on security officers, how they were dressed, the vehicles they were using, and whether there is a specific team that is meant to kill people. First, let me say this, that a police officer, whether is wearing a uniform or not, is a police officer. And that police officer is bound by the law. There's no rules that excuse a police officer that if you are not in uniform, you can commit crimes or you can kill people. The same law that upholds killing of citizens by a police officer in uniform is the same law that also upholds the same from a police officer who is not in uniform. There are clearly indicated situations where a police officer may not be required to be in uniform. And sometimes when they're doing investigations. And some investigation officers are always embedded in these situations to make sure that they collect evidence immediately that will help in apprehending criminals. Police officers also, whether they're using a Subaru or walking on foot or using a lorry, are expected also to abide by the law. And that's why we say that any claims that there is a police officer who is killing people, whether he's in civilian or not, must be investigated, and we must ensure that those who have been affected by their actions are brought to justice. So there is no excuse. The dress code of a police officer is not an excuse. In fact, a police officer who sleeps in his house and there is an emergency and he needs to rescue a citizen does not need to wear a uniform. Just wake up and go and rescue, and then do what you need to do as a police officer. Then the rest is, the uniform is just for identification, when you need identification. So the point here I want to make here is that all cases of excesses reported will be investigated equally. Number two is to say that there is no non-police squad that is involved in killing people, at least not in this administration, and not that the cabinet secretary is aware of. It would be unconstitutional and illegal to establish a squad anywhere in Kenya to kill people. All the squads, all the police formations and units in the Republic are intended to protect people, not to kill people. Their responsibility is to protect the citizens of Kenya. On the question of numbers, the 42 are for the 2 days, on the 25th of June and 7th of July. On the 25th, the numbers recorded, and official recorded by National Police Service, is 17. On the 7th, it was 25. And a good question is, how come even after we have blocked the city, the access to the city, more people died? You see, the criminal activities were happening all over the country. And in that situation, burning of supermarkets, invasion of police stations. In fact, more police stations were invaded outside the city than in the city. And you are right to say that there seems to be a new epicenters outside the city for this kind of protest. By the way, I need to say that, and it's in the statement, that this is unprecedented. In the past, we have had, of course, maandamano across the country, but the ones that are targeting specifically police stations, this is the first time that you can really say police stations are being, specifically targeted, which is a very unique phenomenon, and we are concerned, and that's why some people are being charged for terror, because by the time you're going for police station, your intention is not to pass your message. It's not even your intention to loot. Your intention actually is to undermine the institutions of democracy and peace and security, with an intention of raining terror to the people of Kenya, so that then you leave them exposed and you instill fear on the citizens that there is no constitutional government in place, and therefore citizens are on their own, and they can, have to protect themselves or, from harm, or sometimes also attack other citizens. So at that point, that's why we take seriously the question of terrorism linked to these charges, which has been, it's a subject of debate. It's of course in court, but as a matter of fact, those who read the law should read the Anti-Terror Act and will realize that acts of terrorism include what we witnessed on 25th and the 7th of this July. The other thing that I needed to emphasize here in that regard is that the fact that nearly 1,500 people have been arraigned in various courts. And we must thank our courts because they have been cooperative in most of the instances to make sure that we get also relevant time for investigation and so forth. You will realize that this administration means business, and the National Police Service means business when we told the public that people will be held into account. I look forward to successful prosecutions and convictions so that the people of Kenya can begin to separate the wheat from the chaff, and so that we can start knowing, separating those who are exercising Article 37 rights in the Constitution and those who are intended in violence. And then, hopefully, then going forward, after we weed out all these criminal acts and they get severe convictions and punishment, Kenyans will go back, criminals will now leave citizens who want to exercise Article 37 of the Constitution to come to the streets, and the police will be escorting them as they do their protest peacefully. That is what we are looking forward to. And as I've said before, and I wish to emphasize, that my dream is to see a country where peaceful demonstrators in their thousands are walking in the streets, carrying their pamphlets and regalia and paraphernalia, and being escorted by police officers, marching through defined routes and within designed areas, and with time that has been allocated, and in the evening shake hands with the police officers, and everybody goes home without harming the citizens of this country. That is really what is promised by Article 37 of the Constitution, and we hope we can reach there as a nation. The last question was the investigation in Nyeri and other parts. For those who have been injured, as I've said, investigations are ongoing, and we have demonstrated in the recent past that where there is transgression, even in the part of ourselves or even our police officers, we do not take sides. We will make sure that independent investigation take place, and those who are found culpable are brought to justice. And on the presence of foreigners, at the moment we have not, we are yet to deal with that issue fully, but it is true. There is some information that some foreigners who are operating in the city, some of them are involved in various criminal activities, including muggings, including sometimes acts of hooliganism in this town. But the ones who are linked directly to the protest, we will have to look at those who have been charged. And specifically, you see, I have to consult the DCI, and I don't want to consult him here to see if he has arraigned some of those people. But it is true that there are some foreigners in our city who have been involved in the past in various criminal activities. And should we find them also involved in the looting and the destruction that has happened, we'll make sure that they are brought to justice.